Right, good morning, welcome back. Now today, critical motorcycle chain maintenance. Now if that video title feels a little bit familiar, then you must have been watching this channel a very long time. And thank you so much for that, because yes, we made this video pretty much 14 years ago, back in the driveway at the very, very first garage. And it's just as important today as it was then. Now, repeating a motorcycle maintenance video is always a bit of a gamble. Is anybody actually going to watch it? Will it get any traction a second time? Well, 14 years ago when I made that video, we had about 1,500 subscribers, and I think today we've got somewhere around 250,000. So we're going to put this information out today to a far wider audience, and that's got to be a good thing, because this information, it never gets old. At motorcycle events and gatherings, I'm still seeing chains horribly neglected and in a dangerous condition. So hopefully this information today will help you keep your bike safe and save a few quid. Right, straight into it. Now, motorcycle chains need lubricating and periodic cleaning. So you're going to need lubricating products and cleaning products. So let's cover those very quickly first. Right, if your garage is anything like mine, you'll end up with a mixture of different tins on the shelf of all different products that you use for the jobs you're going to do. So I've just dragged off 3 different cleaning products and 3 different chain lubrication products. So let's just go over them very quickly one by one, because I don't want to favour any one of these. They all do the job perfectly well. I'll just show you there's some options. Right, first one is Rock Oil SOC. It's a soluble oil cleaner. It's a kerosene-based spray. It literally melts the dirt off in seconds, but it absolutely stinks your garage out. Just saying. The next one's a Hylamar branded product called Hylo Clean. It's a cleaner and degreaser. Just a standard general degreaser for automotive use. That works really well. And this other one I've got is WD-40 brand, but it's the specialised range, and it's specialised chain cleaner. It's for cleaning motorcycle chains. So there's 3 products there that work perfectly for the job. But also, you can use a general maintenance spray, like a WD-40 type stuff in the blue can. I've heard that it can damage the rubber seals in your chain, and I'm not sure whether it does or whether it doesn't. I don't know. But if you're in a pinch and you've nothing else to use but something like WD-40, then it's better to clean your chain and leave it covered in gunge and grit. So use that in a pinch, but you don't really need to, because there are dedicated products that do the job properly. Now, once your chain is spotlessly clean, you then need to lubricate it, and there's 3 options on lubrication. Now, that's nothing to do with brand. I'm not endorsing any of these brands at all. I'm not suggesting you should get one over the other, but there are 3 types of chain lubricant. There's a standard ordinary chain lube. You'll see that always listed as chain lube. That's just an oily mixture with a sticky substance to stop it flinging off. That's the general middle of the road lube. Also, you've got chain wax. For the winter time, when there's salt and filth on the roads, it's a lot thicker, and it does what it says. It coats the chain in a thick wax. I'll come to some of the problems of that in a minute. And of course, for the other end of the scale, there's dry lube. It's a PTFE dry powder inside a thin, runny carrier spirit. You spray it on the chain and it vanishes, but it has put a lubrication inside the rollers of the chain. So you've got dry lube, regular lube, and a chain wax. Those 3 options you've got, depending on the time of year and the conditions that you're riding in. To select the right chain lubricant for the time of year, if it's midwinter and you've got all that salt and filth and sludge on the road, you're going to want a chain wax that's going to coat that chain up in the wax and protect it from all the bad weather. If it's midsummer and you only ever ride in the bone dry weather and the worst you're going to get is a bit of dust on your chain, then the dry lube is fantastic. It doesn't leave any build up, no residue to speak of, and that's absolutely perfect. But personally, I ride in the rain and it is summertime. So the perfect lubrication for my chain for right this time of year is a general, ordinary, middle of the road chain lube. And for degreaser, it doesn't really matter which one I use. All of these work really well. I'm going to take the Hylo Clean out of it though, because that's an unopened can. I'll save that for later on. But this one, the chain cleaner from WD-40, that's about an inch left in the bottom. So I'll use that up and then I'll go over to the SOC, because this stuff is amazing. It really gets the dirt off. Right, the next thing is to cut yourself a bit of cardboard to protect your lift or your garage floor, wherever you're doing it, because this is a messy old process. Right, next thing, loosen the chain off as much as possible so it's literally hanging down, and you'll see why that is an advantage. Right, now you can see the chain is only about 1 inch or so under the swing arm, and that's a little bit cramped for getting in there and cleaning. So for the purpose of cleaning, we're going to loosen the chain right out so it's hanging down and we can get nice access all around it. So the best way, with everything loosened off like we've got, just pull the chain downwards like that. That pulls the wheel right forwards, and then just nip the wheel nut up just lightly to hold everything in place so it doesn't roll back again. Now, I think we all know that chain lubricants are sticky, all 3 of them. It doesn't matter which one it is, even the dry lube. If it builds up to any degree, you'll find that your chain starts to get tacky, and that attracts dust and grit from the road. And that then turns the sticky stuff that's on your chain into a grinding paste, and it's that we need to clean off, because that grinding paste, it just chews away at your sprockets and shortens the life of your chain sprocket set. So that's why we're doing this in the first place. So as this chain has got lots of sticky lube and grit on it, before we start scrubbing to get any of that off, why not give it a good soak first to start loosening it? So get some protection, because it's going to spray everywhere, and then just spray your chain cleaner on the chain and then soak it all the way over and let it settle for a bit. Find the split link, there it is. Now personally, I leave the chain cleaner to soak for about 15 minutes. Yeah, you can hit it with a brush straight away, but any of that sticky stuff that hasn't been penetrated by the solvent, it will just move it around. It will spread it about, make it a bit thinner, and it might look a bit cleaner, but you haven't got it all off. I leave it to soak thoroughly and then give it another going over, and you'll find it literally rinses clean. Right, now once it's had a chance to soak and you're ready to scrub it up, you can use one of these things. I think we all know these. That's got 3 brushes, all going over 3 sides of the chain at once. You literally pop it on top of the chain and you scrub away. And underneath, just as well, to get the bottom side, scrub away. But as you can see, it's a robust old process, and this sprays crap absolutely everywhere. They do work, they're fine. The bristles are rock hard, and if your chain is really heaving and it's got badges hanging off it with chain wax and it's winter, then that's a great tool for the job. But mine's not so bad, so I just tend to use my degreaser and a paintbrush. Take the time, really enjoy the process. Wet it up a little bit with degreaser, just massage it in. You're only looking to loosen all that gunk and sticky stuff till it's liquid, and then you can blast it off with the degreaser at the end. And there we are, finally. Back to the split link there. So the compression link is your start and finish point, and you know you've been around the whole chain, inside, outside, top, bottom, massaging all that gunk out the way so it's all nice and loose, ready to spray off. There. Right, these chain cleaners are solvent based, so they will evaporate for the most part, but there's an awful lot dripping off it now, so I'm going to dry it very carefully. I'm not going to drag the paper across it, because that will drag bits of the paper up into the sprocket. I'm just going to dab it as I go through to blot the worst of that stuff off. And while you're doing it, obviously always make sure that you do it with the chain moving away from the sprocket, obviously. There, one spotlessly clean chain. Now look at the gunk and the sludge that came off that. Why would you leave that on your chain? That is nothing but damaging. Chains and sprockets are expensive, and that is how you lengthen the life of them. Right, now having cleaned your chain with all that solvent that melts the old chain lube off, you don't want any of that solvent left behind to melt your new chain lube and turn it into a runny mess and fling off as soon as you ride up the road. So make sure your chain is bone dry. Give it time for all that solvent to evaporate away so there's nothing on it whatsoever. It's completely dry. If you've got the time, you could even leave it overnight. It wouldn't hurt, and then come and put your chain lube on in the morning. But most of them haven't got that time to do the job, so you leave it for an hour or so and make sure that your chain is absolutely bone dry before you lube it, which we're going to do next. Right, applying the chain lube is often overdone. Many people put too much chain lube on a chain. You look at a chain, you see it's all hanging with snotty gunge hanging off it. That's when all the grit sticks to it and makes a grinding paste, which is why we're doing this. When you apply the lube, you actually don't need much. You can apply it quite sparingly. And there are 2 points on the chain where you need to apply it for the best mechanical protection. Now with the chain, this is the roller in the center and the pin that goes through the middle. And the target for the lubricant is to get down the side here, down the side of these rollers, and lubricate these pins. So the rollers roll over the pins nice and freely and they don't wear. So you're spraying here on this inside edge of the chain and over here on the other side, on that inside edge of the chain. Those there are the 2 places that you're targeting your lubricant. And what I do is spray one entire pass of the chain on the inside edge and then another pass on the outside edge, and that's usually plenty. There, one pass, and then do the other side. Now applying it like that, sparingly, only where it needs to be, means that that sticky sludge won't build up quite so quickly. And at the same time, your expensive can of chain lube will last you a lot longer. Right, just before we tighten the chain up and do the wheel adjustment, I want to make one final point about chain wax. Obviously, chain wax is designed to make a coating over the chain to keep the bad weather and the salt and all that stuff out if you're riding in winter. So at this point, once you've lubricated the chain in that way, that's when now you would take the chain wax and you'd spray it over the outside plates, preferably inside as well, to cover them up with the wax to keep that corrosion off so these don't start going rusty. But chain wax, again, is a winter thing, and again, you don't use it too copiously, just use it sparingly. You need a thin coating and clean it off before you reapply it. Don't build up the chain wax because, as I've already said, it collects grit and turns into grinding paste and shortens the life of your chains and sprockets. Right, loosen your wheel nut off again. So pull the wheel back as far as it will go. There we are. Right, I think we already know you set your chain tension at the tightest spot. So rotate it round, feel it all the way, find the tightest spot, stop there, then set your chain tension. I do believe this hasn't got one. It's quite a new chain of sprockets, so don't appear to, hang on. If there is one, that's it there. So that's good enough. Right, now in setting your chain tension, you're also setting the wheel alignment as well. Naturally, obviously the wheel must be in a dead straight ahead with the bike, so it means using the marks that are on your swinging arm or a caliper or whatever method you prefer the best to get that wheel alignment absolutely dead straight ahead and at the same time the tension perfect. Right, we're looking for 1.5 inches of up and down movement. That's from the lowest when you pull it down to the highest when you push it up. 1.5 inches, and that's a little bit too much. So we tighten up a bit, a little bit more, a little bit more, just fine tune it. I think that's it there. 1.5 inches up and down movement, perhaps a shade more. There it is. On the chain side, we've got 1, 2, 3 marks and a half. 3.5 marks rearwards on the adjuster block. Come around this side, we've got 1, to 3.5. So they look like they're bang on. All right, now just take all the slack out of the wheel nut, just nip it. I'm going to double check it with a caliper. Right, now a secondary check measurement we can take is from the back of the block to the back of the swing arm. From here to here, needs to be exactly the same both sides. So with your caliper, use the tail, set it against the swing arm, push forward till it touches the block, and we have exactly 25 mil. Come round and compare. And it is 24.8 mil. Now 0.2 of a millimetre, you could say that's good enough, but why take second best? There. Perfect. Well, there we are. Motorcycle chain, clean and adjust. I did it 14 years ago, and here it is again if it helps you. Put it in your save box if you need to know how to do it. This technique will get you out of trouble every time. There is no servicing requirement on a chain and sprockets. There's nothing written in your service schedule about when you should change it and how often you should change it, or even the fact that you should clean it, but they are essential things that you must do. And I've used a range of different products to get mine done today. It doesn't matter what you use. I'm not endorsing any of those products. They're just what I happen to have on the shelf. You use what works for you. Once again, just make sure you do the job and do it as often as it needs to be done. Well, and if I may, just one final thing. I'd like to end this as the final thought. When you're doing this job with a chain and sprockets working anywhere near those gears, which is what they are, there is a potential to have a pretty horrific accident. So make sure, obviously, leave your keys indoors. Don't be tempted to take shortcuts where you could hurt yourself. I want to see you all waving with all 10 fingers in the future. So work safe, ride safe, and I'll see you next time.